Uh, Hey, yeah, Philip was supposed to be with me on this review, but whatever. Went to go see Beautiful Creatures. Went to go see it the same day as the Die Hard movie, but like it was like the last showing we were able to see before we had to like seriously rush home. Um, the only reason I went to go, like seriously, the only reason I went to go see it was because I had like that free voucher from during the incident with like Hansel and Gretel. That's the only reason I went to go see it because it's like you know what, I'm sorry, I would not pay money to see this. It would be one of those rentals or like, hey, it's on TV and I've got nothing else to watch and and this is on type of thing. But Philip, he really wanted to go see it. You know, he showed me the trailer and I was like, dude, this is Twilight. You know, and really to clarify, this isn't Twilight to a degree. Okay, it's you know his opinion. He really liked the movie. He really liked that kind of the love story and all that stuff. And to him, it's very like it's his like realm of like I want that. That's not the love I want. Shit, it was like that in the theater with him. But since he's not here, we got my perspective on this. So it looked kind of like Twilight, but I have to give it some credit. The people who were in the movie, they all were able to act, which was like, oh, right, that's silly. People knowing how to act, that's silly. Yeah. So they all were able to act. They actually have good, like, actually good people in it. So they have Jeremy Irons and stuff like that. Just Jeremy Irons, he's the only good one. Like the difference is like the movie starts off, there's a bit of like kind of voiceover narration stuff, but it's not like Bella reading her shitty poetry kind of narration. It's more like it's like exposition, and it's the viewpoint of the guy in the story rather than it's all from the girl's point of view. So the guy's just kind of like, they're in some kind of, well, they said South Carolina, kind of more on the southern state, kind of, state, and everyone has the accent and all that stuff, which is a bit different. Which I have to say it's slightly relieving because it's like okay, not everyone just has like this accent. Everyone in the movie has this accent. Like everyone in the movie, they all kind of talk like this. They have that slight southern drawl when they're speaking, which is fine. It's a little different. It's not what I'm used to, but it's okay. That was a little different. Like I said, the perspective of the guy, they're talking about how like the town they're in is a very very small town. Again, kind of like Twilight, very very small town, but like how in Twilight in that series, it's just like we're in fucking like Washington State, and it's just kind of boring and blah 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 and blah blah blah. It's just boring. Like that kind of like stuff happens, yada yada yada. But that's it. With this one, that has actually more depth to it, which is like that's silly. Where people there are very religious. They're very, Bible thumping, all that stuff. And so, of course, with this movie, with this book series, whatever, the concept is witches. Of course, it's a big issue. It's like, oh my god, all that stuff. Fine. Fine. I forgot what she said, like, their technical term of, like, what a witch is. It's like a conjurer or a seer or a Sears. It's a Sears. Let's get some washing machines. Oh, a caster. That's it. A caster. We don't use the term witches. It's caster. Fine, fine. It's better than sparkling vampires. Like I don't mean to keep referring to that, but ever since that came out, it's like whenever anything that's kind of teen-like, it refers to that, which confused me when like Hunger Games came out. People were like, "Oh my god, it's like Twilight," because it's like there's like the thing which there's a girl and then like the two guys, but then it's like no, the whole concept of Hunger Games itself is completely out of the realm anyway. But then it's kind of like this too. Unlike Twilight and like Hunger Games like that, where it's like a girl and she has to pick between two different guys kind of thing. It's a girl, of course she's awkward because she comes from, family of witches or whatever not. Apparently when you turn 16, you don't get to choose. It's one of those destiny kind of things where when you turn 16, they'll choose for you whether you will be on the evil side or on the good side. Okay, I'm okay with that. You know, I'm okay with that. Where it's like, you know what, it's not your choice; it chooses for you, and it's like a struggle of good versus evil kind of thing. Fine, that's pretty cool. The fact again that there's like teenagers, they're 16, all that shit. It kind of gives it that kind of reaction where it's like, shut up, I don't care. You're fucking 16. Oh my god, my life is so hard, kind of thing. You know, like shut the fuck up. You know, yeah, I remember when I was 16 and shit that was hard. Yeah, I just didn't want to be bullied. You know, that was my hard side. Fine, again, I understand, like, because it's in a fantasy realm of I am a caster and I can't, and I want to stay on the good side, but I might go on the bad side because my cousin person, like Emily Rossum, you know, got thrown to the bad side. Fine, I get it. It's Star Wars, you know? It's Star Wars, you know? It's not Twilight, it's Star Wars. Fine. Whatever. You know, so, although I have to say, like, the font for it, the font for the title card for Beautiful Creatures is very Twilight-esque, you know, with the whole, like, swooping with the R and, like, all that kind of, like, and it's the same kind of, like, bluish gray color, and the movie had a slight blue filter to it, like the first Twilight movie, which, my god, that was ridiculous. Anyway, so, like, the one thing, what I liked about the story is because the guy and the girl are actually smart. They're not just, like, obviously the typical teenagers, like Bella, like, you know, and, like, Edward, who's like, I'm gonna take a shit. Or even in the sense of, like with Hunger Games, with, like, how Katniss just, like, you know, like, we're in a coal mining district, and there's a guy named Gale. Anyway, just being a dick right now. What do you call it? So, like the guy, he really likes reading, like, you know, good books, which is like, oh my god. You know, he loves reading things like Vonnegut and, you know, like J.D. Salinger and all that stuff, which is cool. But part of it kind of feel like you like, they say, like, obviously the town has, like, 20 churches and, like, one library or something like that, which is, like, of course, in a religious town, that would be the thing. And it kind of felt kind of Footloose-y to me because of the whole, like, you know, it's a lot of religion, a lot of, like, closed-minded people, and then, like, this kid is, like, reading these books who, you know, that would open your mind. And he, like, plans on he wants to leave and, like, go to New York and visit all these places, you know, like, it's always, like, everyone else is a dumbass, and it's, like, this one kid who, like, it's gonna change it all, you know, let's dance! You know, like, I gotta go to my happy place, and I just kind of, like, you know, punch dance, you know, it kind of felt a little like that, you know, expecting, like a montage of, like, the guy and the girl just, like, dancing their anger away or something. Whatever. That would have been really hilarious. I would actually really enjoy that. So yeah, like, the girl also likes books like that. She's really into poetry, which I was just like, you know, which is nothing wrong. Not that I went through a phase of loving poetry, but, like, as a teenager, your only way of, like, I remember my way of, like, out getting my feelings out there is, like, I wrote, but it wasn't all poetry. It was just, like, it was writing. That's what it was. It was prose more than poems. Anyway, it was, like, that stuff is kind of cheesy, and the fact that, like, you know, she's kind of like the new kid in the school, just like, you know, Twilight, whatever not, and how this guy was so instantly intrigued with her, which is fine, you know, like, some people there are very intriguing and you find yourself drawn to them, but, you know, I know it's movie magic, all that stuff, where it's just like, I'm intrigued with you, and I love you, and it's like, whoa, what the fuck is wrong with you? And also, again, because they are fucking, you know, teenagers, so of course it's gonna be like that fast, and you're gonna be like, oh, yeah. At the same time, just like, oh, for fuck's sakes, calm the fuck down. You know, but with, like, Philip, he was like, oh, I want someone who loves me for who I am, and blah, blah, blah. I understand, but fuck's sakes, dude, like, shit. You know, it's a little too, like, fantastical kind of thing for me, so I'm just like, this is bullshit. Anyway, I wrote notes. Oh, one of the teachers had an eye patch, so that was just funny. Just like this fat guy, he's like, oh yeah, he's like, anyway, kids, turn page, you know, anyway. The town, like, loves to do, like, Civil War reenactments. Of course, southern towns love doing Civil War reenactments because apparently they think that it would change. Funny enough, the kid said that in the movie. He was like, it's like the result will change or something. Anyway, of course they have, like, the obvious, like, blonde girl who's a bitch. who like kind of is like, of course, dating the main character guy, but you know, he kind of like goes away from, you know, like it completely ignores her once, you know, the new girls in town, that kind of cliche thing, and it's like, okay, fine, but fine. You know, the fact that this whole thing, this whole cliche itself is there, you kind of like, all right, I'm not surprised that's happening. So there's a scene where the guy goes to the girl's house, the witch girl's house, and outside it just look like an old kind of decrepit kind of plantation kind of house type of thing. Goes in, amazing architecture. I like when they open the door, like the kid opens the door, walks in. I was like, whoa! Like I just kind of did that. It's like if Tim Burton, like okay, that kind of doesn't say much. Like Tim Burton's like his way of architecture is more like, you know, all like decrepit. But if Tim Burton did Bauhaus kind of architecture, if you know what that is, you know, if Tim Burton did Bauhaus architecture, it kind of makes sense. Like okay, and then, like, the middle of the house has, like, this kind of spiraling kind of staircase. No handrail or anything, because fuck it, you'll just, you know, you wake up one morning, you're like, you know. And then there's a fireplace that's fucking huge. The thing is, like, as, like, you probably can't even see it in camera. It's just, like, it's fucking huge. It's huge as fucking, you know, fireplace. And I made a joke to Philip saying like, Philip said to me, he was like, oh, you're burning a whole tree in that fireplace. And I made a joke, I'm like, no, you're burning smaller houses in that fucking thing. Like, I was just like, you're burning smaller houses in that. Like, fuck. And so, you know, it's like this white staircase and like and there's like a black piano and a lot of other like furniture things are black. It's just simply black and white. And it's really, really cool because it's very like modern-esque, simplistic, kind of weird kind of architecture, and it's awesome. I like that. That I actually really like, but it has nothing to do with the storyline. It's just really good architecture. It's like what I liked about Hunger Games had nothing really to do with the book, with like the costuming and the settings and stuff. Weird because it's like the boy finds himself like having dreams of like some girl and her hair's in front of her face, and it's just kind of like she's like standing by this tree thing and whatever. A tree thing, it's a tree. Which kind of made me think of, like, this one freaking Malice Miser video that's like that, what's the fuck it's called, like Garnet or something like that. And it's just like a chick in a white dress and her hair's just covered her face. Anyway, kind of like that kind of really gothy looking kind of shit going on. And so, the guy was just kind of like, you know, this sounds really weird, but I've had dreams about you. I'm like, kid, you, like, barely know this girl. Like, you know, and then whatever, they're talking, and they're getting to know each other and all that shit. And then she's like, you know, I wanted to tell you that, you know, I've had dreams about you as well. And it's like, destiny was meant to be. And it's like, oh, shut up. Like, I'm watching it like, ugh, you know. I have to say, costume design for Emmy Rossum's clothing, oh my god. Like, the dress she showed up in, like, this fucking, like, Mustang. I think that was the car. Anyway, she shows up, and it's, like, really, like, it's kind of simple kind of dress. Like, you know, just kind of regular, like, shape-wise. But it's, like, lace and all this awesome stuff. And because, you know, she's a tiny girl with barely much of anything. She's, like, a walking 2x4. It looks amazing on her. And it was like, hey, walking coat rack, you know. It looks great. I don't know if anyone else noticed, like, it was kind of obvious she was wearing a wig because she has longer hair, but she had it, like, really, like, short, kind of like mine kind of hair, and it was, like, just pulled back. But I was like, oh, it's very obvious it's a wig. That's just me. Anyway, so, the guy and girl talking, blah, 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 blah. And then he goes into her house again, and it changes. The fucking staircase is now orange. And then, like, the house has, like, you know, leaves falling. Like, it became, like, an autumn setting. Like, it just... Alright, like, you know, that's cool. You're witches. You can make that happen. It looked cool. Then when they're having dinner, it's just, like, the table is, like, spinning. And, like, it's, like, the girl against Emmy Rossum. And it's, like, like, shit's is happening. One of the cousins or brother guys, he kind of looked like Edward Cullen. This kid, he's been in a bunch of movies. He was in the new, the remake, relaunch, whatever fuck, Nightmare on Elm Street. He was in Jennifer's Body. He was the main kid in A Haunting in Connecticut. He's that kid who always looks like he's like really tired, like he's just, but he had his hair kind of coiffed a bit, and when he walked in, I was like, oh my god, I was like, it's Edward Cullen. It's just like going through all this stuff, and it's like whatever with the storyline, and it turns out like, for her to break the curse of, you know, being chosen to be whether good or evil is to kill someone she loves, i.e. the guy. And you're like, no! You're watching, you're like, she can't kill him! And then like, ah, which is like, I understand. But it's just like, God, really? That of course has to be the thing to like stop a curse. It's always kill the person you love. And it's like, why? Why is it always that? Why can't it be one of those weird ones where you gotta like drink from a tree and then punch a baby in the face at the same time under a blue moon kind of thing? Like, God, I'm like, that makes more sense. But it's always like, you have to kill the one you love type of shit. And it's like, shut the fuck up, I don't care. Like, I'm watching and I'm just like, you know, I'm watching it like that. Like, I'm sorry, like, this is obviously not my kind of movie. It obviously is not, you know, because, one, I really don't give a fuck about love stories. I think a lot of them are fucking annoying and fucking bullshit, and, you know, because it's fantasy, a lot of it, you know, like, this shit never happens outside of the movies kind of thing. It's why I can't fucking stand Nicholas Sparks, because his movies make me want to just punch someone in the face. It's so stupid. It's so like, it's all that kind of like, you know, kissy kissy goo goo kind of bullshit where it's like, I'm sorry that people buy into that. It's like, like The Notebook and fucking Dear John and what's this new one coming out, Safe Haven kind of bull. Fuck you. You know, I don't know. Maybe because I'm more of a guy and I love my action films. That's why I enjoy Die Hard as much as I did. You know, even though it wasn't, like, technically good, of course. It was just, I mainly enjoyed it because I was riffing it with my friends. Like, that's what made it enjoyable. Anywho, but yeah. There's one part where, like, the guy is like, I love you, blah, 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 like, professing his love. And it was cute. It was a cute moment. And then I was just like, I just leaned over to Philip, and I was just like, oh, God. I just was like, God. And he goes, I'm sorry, I just teared up. And I was like, really? That made you tear up? But, of course, to each its own kind of thing. But yeah, to me, it's just like, fuck you, this is bullshit, get the fuck out of my face. To him, it's like, that's what I want someone to be there like that for me, that's my moon is my star to my sandwich, like, okay, you know, but to me, I'm watching it like, thank God it's free. Like, the whole time I'm sitting there like, thank God this is free, thank God this is free, oh my God, thank God it's free. So, to get to the end of it, turns out, like, I guess you could kind of, like, you know, being a witch caster person, you could kind of, in a sense, kind of, you know, you kind of fake someone out. And the friend of the main guy this whole time, he got tricked by Emmy Rossum, you know, the whole time to be like, you know, because she's a siren, to be like his kind of bitch. And so they're doing the reenactments, and they're like, okay, let's just shoot each other, and we'll die, and we'll just go and, like, watch, you know, like, stupid movies or something at my house, fine. He goes, shoots, and the boy, like, gets shot in the heart, and it's like, shot through the heart. Sorry. That song came on at Best Buy when we were all dancing, so I'm just, like, thinking about that. Anyway, so he gets shot in the heart, and it's like, oh my God, and then I guess the kid snaps out of his, like, whatever, spell, and he's like, oh my God, I killed my friend. And the girl comes over, and this is when the whole, like, I guess coronation or whatever, it's her 16th birthday, and it's the whole, like, you know, and it's like, okay, I understand you're witches, but you're just making it laughable. Like, one of the witches had, like, a weird kind of fucking, like, thing on, and it's like, okay, I get it. You all want to be Lady Gaga with that bullshit. Like, it was just like, I don't know. They all had really great dresses on, which I love. Like, Emmy Rossum, the moment, like, she showed up on screen with her dress, I was like, I need that dress. That's when I became a total girl. I was like, I need that dress. You know, and it was just kind of like, it was cut like this, and it, like, you know, made kind of like a upside down kind of heart shape, you know, up here, and it was like all lace, like down, like kind of bodice thing, and then big dress, and I was like, I I love big dresses. Like, that's why my fucking Red Queen cosplay, like, I love it to death because I love big dresses, and that dress is so huge. And yeah, and it's funny because, like, towards the end of the scenes, all you hear is, like, the tool of the dresses when they're moving with it. It's like just sloshing around, because tool sloshes. You know, the fabric movement of it. Anyway, the girl had, like, a pretty big dress as well. Oh, duh, that's her name, Emma Thompson. I'm like, Jeremy Irons and someone else. Emma Thompson's in it. Of course, she does an amazing job because she's fucking Emma Thompson. So yeah, so it's like, oh my god, blah blah blah, you know, the boy's dead, blah blah blah, and it turns out like the like he's like laying there and it kind of fades and it's like, oh no, it's really Jeremy Irons. So technically, yeah, she like someone that she does love is dead, which is like, oh my god, not Jeremy Irons, you know, which is kind of funny because the two movies we saw that day kind of made sense because Jeremy Irons was in Die Hard with a Vengeance with Bruce Willis and then Kevin Bacon, you know. Anyway, so, you know, and then like the Edward Cullen looking brother, you know, shows up as, you know, Jeremy Irons, you know, and then the thing kind of fades away and you're just like, oh my god. He's like, oh, kind of thing. And the slightly sad thing is, like, towards the end of the movie, it's like the girl erases the guy's memory, you know, like, forget about me, forget whatever. And it was kind of like, it was one of those like, oh, that kind of sucks. Like, I felt like that. I was like, oh, but again, cliche-wise, that usually happens where, like, you have to erase that person's memory, yada, 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 you know, kind of thing. A couple times they've done that in, like, True Blood, where they do shit like that. Anyway, so, like, the boy runs into the girl at the library, and, you know, he was just like, oh, I'm sorry I never got to know you very well, and blah, 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 blah. She's like, yeah, it's okay, and you could see, like, heartbreaker on her face, which is, like, good acting, and it's also kind of like, okay, again, cliche story. So the boy and, like, the friend, they're totally fine now. They're like, oh yeah, I'm scouting for colleges, so I'm gonna go to New York. I'm gonna go around and, like, have a little road trip. And he's like, well, anyway, you know, see you soon kind of thing. Alright, cool. So, there's, like, this road, they talk about it in the movie. There's a road where, like, you go and you head, and then you go, and it's like you're leaving the town now, and then it's like I-9, like you are about to head to like I-95 or something like that. And it's one of those things where, like, the kid's mom said, like, you know, whenever you get a chance, get the fuck out of the town, which I totally understand, you know, like, fuck, I'm sorry, I can't be around all that fucking, you know, like, overly religious people. Like I said with the devil inside thing, like, it's been many years since Catholic school. I do not need that shit in my life, you know? So yeah. So it's like, you know, you see it, the girl's in, like, the kind of, the library, and she's kind of, like, really sad and, like, completely distraught by it, because, obviously, this guy, he has no idea who she is, unlike, you know, the whole, like, we went through all this, you know. Like an episode of Angel, actually, with Buffy. Anyway, so, you know, she's kind of there, like, reading, the guy's, like, in the car, and, like, as you're seeing the shot, it's, like, the road, and the guy's, like, the drive of the car, and the car kind of was, like, kind of like that, because he sees this, the sign that you're now leaving the town sign, and it's kind of, like, kind of scorched, because there's one part where they're making out, and she causes, like, a fireball to hit it, and it's, like, alright. Like, when she gets angry, like, she was dumping, like, water on him and, like, raining on it. I wish I had that power. It would just be fun. Wet t-shirt contest! Anyway, so the car kind of, like, swerves. The guy gets out of the car and, like, screams a girl's name, like, Stella! You know? It's actually Alma or something like that. But, you know, he's like, Stella! And it just kind of, like, the movie kind of, like, cuts and it, you know, credits and stuff. So it's supposed to be, like, because of that, he, like, remembered and all that stuff. And it's like, oh my god, he remembered! And it's like, okay, it's kind of cute, but that's it, you know? And then end the movie kind of thing. Like, it's not my kind of movie. It's not something I would have went and paid for. Again, I only went to go see it because I had that free voucher, you know. I don't see myself, like, you know, I would probably see myself, like I would have rented it, what do you call that, like how I do, like, with the Twilight series, like, you know, I probably would have went to, like, an early matinee or something like that, kind of like with, you know, Hunger Games, like, we went to, like, well, it was kind of late at night, but it was still kind of, like, early in the week kind of showing, so it was a little bit, you know, cheaper and whatnot, but yeah, I don't see myself, like, paying, like, I wouldn't see myself paying full price, and I don't know, I enjoyed Hunger Games a little more just because I just did. There's no real other, you know, It's just because they're like actual people and not the whole like witches, wolves, and fucking babies and all that stuff. Um, but yeah, we kind of got in there as like half of the trailers were already playing, but we got it and like Oblivion was playing that trailer, and it was like, okay, Tom Cruise, like we're gonna go, I'm gonna go see it because it's like it's sci-fi and whatever not, and I have to go see it. Then After Earth that comes on, and when that trailer came on during Die Hard, Philip was like, I am sick and tired of Will Smith and his kids. And when the thing After Earth came on, I think Felicia said After Earth, like she was confused. And then I said out loud, did you say Afterbirth? Like, it was ridiculous. I just love that there was barely anyone in the theater, so we were able to, like, kind of fuck around, which, again, made us enjoy the movie a lot. It's fucking piercing. Yeah, I think that was really it. Nothing, like, no trailer that's, like, I've never seen before kind of thing. But, anyway, I would say if you're into love stories and romantic kind of shit like that, you know, go see it. But if you're not into that stuff, that it's like, why bother? You know, it's one of those things. It's like, sorry, I wouldn't bother with that. I don't give a fuck about love stories. The concept of the witches thing is a little bit different. It's kind of cool, not cool, but it's kind of alright kind of thing. I guess if I saw around, like, when I was 10, 11, like, when The Craft came out, I probably would have loved it a lot, but because I'm not, and I don't think like that, you know, and I'm not in, like, that much of fantasy world, just as much, this doesn't mean anything. Anyway, so, yeah, I can't really recommend this, I can't, you know, it's just, it is what it is, and it's alright. But yeah, if you love that stuff, but the costumes were great. That was something I really have to say. The costumes were really, really good, and that fucking dress is amazing. But other than that, everything else is just kind of like, you know, you're going down this checklist of things that we've seen before in these kind of bullshits. But anywho, I'm hungry, so see ya.